Apparently, there are people in this world that were surprised by Brock Purdy's performance against the Rams without George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk still in a bit of a funk. Obviously, when we talk about Brock Purdy, or at least the national conversation, or people who don't really pay attention to the 49ers or know ball, when they talk about Brock Purdy, they use all these examples and excuses of why he's having success, and it's never responsible to him and what he's done. But we've covered it quite a bit on this channel. Obviously, we know how we feel about Brock Purdy on this channel. So it's also funny to hear other people give their feedback on the situation. Like Greg Olsen was actually on call for a majority of Brock Purdy's early games and throughout his career. So he has a great feel for Brock and what he's been able to do. And he has also been one of those people who have kind of pushed back against the narratives about Brock. So take a listen to how he kind of talks about how everyone perceives Brock and how he kind of laughs at the fact that people are surprised how Brock played and all these different things. It's actually a great listen. Take a listen to Greg Olsen right here.
All right, Patriots at 49ers, late window on Sunday. Greg, I want to switch it up because there's so many bad things we could start with for the 49ers, unfortunately. It's just been that kind of season for them to this point. But I want to talk about Brock Purdy because and I'm guilty of this. I include myself in this, but so many people have wanted to see, wow, can you do it without all these great players? Can you do it when things aren't good? Well, he's playing some fantastic football right now without as much help as he's used to. I mean, I guess we're not surprised at this point, but what have you seen from this guy?
Yeah, I kind of chuckle, the past couple days, a lot of the conversations and the narratives on the daily shows and the radio and, the articles that we get sent to us and whatnot in the media and the beat writers. It's like everyone's acting like they're surprised that Brock Purdy can operate without McCaffrey, without Kittle, without Deebo. Brandon Ayuk's had a slow start coming off missing training camp. Obviously, Jennings had a huge game last week, so we kind of relied on him and obviously the run game with Mason. But I kind of just laugh because we've covered a million Brock Purdy games over the last couple of years. We called this first ever start. We called the NFC Championship. I mean, we've kind of seen the whole journey, and we have said it to everyone who will listen. This guy is not a fluke. Just because Kyle Shanahan's running a good system and just because he's surrounded by really good players, does it help? Of course. But all good players are surrounded by other good players, especially at the quarterback position. Like, that's the nature of the game. So we've said for 2 years now, like, don't throw this guy in that he's a system quarterback, a product of the system, a product of the talent. This guy can flat out play quarterback at a high level. Kyle Shanahan has said it. Everyone has said it. And, now I guess everyone's coming around because Deebo's not there and Kittle wasn't there last week and McCaffrey's out. So I guess it does justify it a little bit, but I kind of think it's a lazy take. I don't, that in my mind, at least, I never had any concern that, oh my God, you take a couple good players out and he's going to turn into a pumpkin. I just never thought that was going to be the case.
I credit, absolutely. And I guess it's not that I thought he would be a bad player, but it's just such a strong supporting cast there in San Francisco. And the way he was playing last week against LA, and look, I know they didn't get the win, but to lift Jawan Jennings up to another career game the way he did in the Super Bowl, and it's not just like he's taking what's available to him. I mean, the 49ers have a vertical passing game. Like, he's taking deep shots downfield. Is it his ability to extend the play? I mean, obviously, you just mentioned it. Shanahan's system gets so much credit. What allows the offense to operate at such a high level, even with so many guys out?
Yeah, I mean, part of the conversation is the Shanahan system, whether it's operated by Kyle or we've seen it now throughout the league, operated by a lot of guys to high success throughout the entire league, right? You look at what they're doing in Houston, it's a byproduct. You look at what McDaniels did last year in Miami, it's a byproduct. The success, albeit not the game we called, but New Orleans with Kubiak, they've gotten off to a fast start, running in essence a version of this system, and then of course LaFleur. I mean, we can go around the whole. So the system is part of the conversation. But when you really watch them, especially last year, like the ability to throw the ball downfield efficiently, the average air yards per attempt, yards per completion, explosive plays. Like, he's not just, yes, do they get a lot of yards after catch? Yes, that's a combination of the personnel. Deebo and Kittle are uniquely talented after the catch, and they catch the ball on the run. There's a lot of space and windows, but he's the product of a lot of yak, but he's throwing the ball downfield in the air, and yards per completion and yards per attempt is amongst the highest in the league. I thought a good point you brought up, like his ability to get out of the pocket, something New England's really struggled with the last 2 weeks with Rodgers and the week before with Geno Smith. Nobody outside of Josh Allen has thrown more touchdowns since the start of last year outside the pocket than Brock Purdy. So he doesn't get a lot of credit. Maybe he's not the athlete that jumps off the page, but he's a very good athlete, very good being mobile, keeping himself as a passer, not just looking to get completions. When he gets outside the pocket, he's looking to throw the ball, again, vertical explosives downfield. So does it help? Does it hurt that some of his top players are out? Of course, but I thought his performance last week against LA in the midst of all that was impressive.
I think it's the most impressed I've been by him to this point. And I've been impressed by him a lot of times, but when you factor in what wasn't there and all of that type of stuff, I thought it was incredibly impressive.
I mean, obviously, when you don't pay attention to the 49ers and you don't really watch the film, or you just don't understand football, it's really easy to get caught up in the narratives. And when you have national media perpetuating these narratives like the Colin Cowherd show and these quarterback rankings that have them super low, who are supposed to be quarterback experts that don't actually watch football, it creates this vortex. And we've talked about it before, right? This Brock Purdy thing where he can only be the best or he's the worst. There's no room for the fact that he's a 24-year-old quarterback heading into his second year as a starter, first offseason without any rehab as a starter. Like, he's still a growing and evolving player, but yet, and he was Mr. Irrelevant, yet he's treated and has these, he's talked about as if he should be like a number one pick, performing like a number one pick, yet doesn't get any of the credit that a number one pick would get if they were playing this well. It's an interesting scenario, but we've talked about it. Like, it's the Steph Curry effect. It's the Tom Brady effect. These are all great play. Those are two great players that I mentioned, but they weren't revered that way until they won multiple championships, did multiple things. Steph had a win without KD, right? Like, Tom had a win with the Bucks before they were actually given their flowers from a broader scope of people. And we're okay with that. We're fine with that. We understand within the fan base, like, how we perceive Brock. We're not worried about how other people perceive him. They're going to do and discredit and look for every reason not to give Brock the credit he deserves because he doesn't look like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or whoever. He's not perceived that way. So every time he plays well, it's a surprise to people. So we're not surprised here. I love what Greg Olsen had to say on the matter. And hey, if they really have a problem with Brock Purdy, just sit back, watch, and enjoy the show, because Brock is going to continue to prove and show that he is more than a capable quarterback, and he doesn't need the Avengers and all these different types of things and everything that has been said about him. So let me know what you guys think about this situation, and let me know how you perceive Brock Purdy and his performance against the Rams and these narratives that continue to hang out there. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.